And yet Peter over here is a 2-decade veteran of his business, CyberSoft. When I hear CyberSoft, I'm assuming it's the software that's in Cyberland. Is that correct?
Well, there's really no such place as Cyberland, but yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, so tell me then, in your words, what CyberSoft is.
Well, we're a computer security company, and for the last 20 years, we've predominantly been servicing governments and large institutions in the Unix and Linux world. And we've determined as a business problem that the market was shifting and that Windows was now becoming expected of us by our customers. So this year, a major change is that we now support Windows, and we can now support the full gamut of customers from the largest organization to individual homeowners.
What kind of support are you able to provide these various customers?
Well, it kind of varies on what their needs are, but we actually manufacture a number of unique products of our own, including antivirus for Unix, Linux, Windows, cryptographic integrity, which allows you to understand what's actually happening in your computer. Computers are so complex, there's no way a normal person can understand what's happening in the computer without a tool to augment them.
You're talking to a woman who has absolutely no idea how my computer works, so this sounds like you could actually be speaking in a different language to me. So in case there are anyone else out there who's listening who has that same concern as I do, what do we need to know about our computers, and what do we need to have in place to make sure that we're protected?
Great question. Let me answer it. Computers are either your best friend or your worst enemy. You want to make sure that it stays your best friend and not your worst enemy. As your best friend, it aids in paying your water bill, your electric bill, in taking care of all of the minutia of life that just clogs us up. As the worst enemy, it's transmitting your bank account and passwords to some hacker somewhere in Eastern Europe that you can never see, and he can empty your bank account in 20 seconds.
See, that's incredibly frightening, I'm sure, not only to me, but to anyone who's listening, anyone who has a business, anyone who conducts business on the internet, and yet that's what all of us do. Are we taking the right precautions?
Well, number one, the first line of defense between you and these nefarious characters is you have to have a really good antivirus product. And by the way, it has to be from a good known source. When you get these emails from some unknown person saying, oh, here, try our free antivirus, sometimes those antivirus programs aren't antivirus programs.
They're actually the virus?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, no.
And some of them are really hard to get rid of once they're installed.
Has anyone out there had that experience of your computer being your best friend or your worst enemy? Me, I can tell you, it's my worst enemy at times, but having a company like CyberSoft in place, maybe I wouldn't have that problem. We're going to talk about the challenges that each one of you have and how your businesses are alike and different. You've all heard each other's stories. Do you see a common thread between you, or a common mission that each of you have, or do you see any obstacles that you might share?
I was going to mention with Michael's business, I think it's very unique and interesting that he has chosen to focus his business on a very specific niche. There are so many companies that do video production, but I'm curious as to what made you choose the niche that you chose, and if it really helps your business during tough economic times, or does it hurt your business?
Well, the last couple of years have been hard on everybody, and that's definitely been hard on the nonprofit sector. But different nonprofits serve different needs, so what's happened is some of my client base has changed. I think that having, I mean, obviously you have a very specific area that you focus on as well. Sadly, there's no economic changes in terms of what health is going to look like. So people are, you know, the niche that you focused on is unfortunately not going away. But then again, same with the nonprofit sector. When, you know, anytime that one problem is beginning to maybe seem like it's solved, there are new problems emerging that people are coming up with creative solutions for. So, yeah, I think that focusing on a small area for me has been really positive because it's something that I've identified with personally. I've built a team of people who also really identify with that same area. And because we're passionate about what we do and we enjoy what we do every day, it makes work a lot less like work.
Boy, isn't that great. On that note, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here with 4 very interesting guests joining us for the marketing of business. Stay with us. Continuing our conversation here with our guest on the marketing of business. Penny, would you agree that the one thing that all 4 of you seem to have in common is that you have a real passion for what it is that you do?
Absolutely. I'm very impressed with Michael and the work. I mean, part of my monthly bill paying is to pay nonprofits. I like to give. And it's really important to me to have good information. And I mean, it's just so important. It's fantastic. And security, I can tell you, having a business and having computer problems, having software that keeps track of client information and what's going on, daily schedule, absolutely. And if you're not passionate about something like that, my God, you're in trouble. You're not doing anything for your customers.
Well, certainly in the last couple of years with the economy the way that it's been, if you didn't have a passion for something, you were just glad to have a job. But my goodness, to have a business and have a passion for it, I would think helps sustain everyone through a very difficult time.
It's true. There are plenty of folks that make skincare products. There's plenty of folks that have spas. But if you position yourself and you're passionate and you continue with your mission, people understand that and people respond to it. It's the best way to work, to love your work and be passionate.
And you know, you're talking to the founders of companies here. This is not a job. Like we were talking about during the break, we didn't pick this, it picked us. We didn't really have a choice in the matter. This is who we are and what we do. And the fact of the matter is that we all care intensely about what we do. And that's also probably why we're probably a lot better at what we do than some large conglomerate that only cares about money. If any of us only cared about money, we probably wouldn't be doing this because we could probably make more money doing something other than running our own businesses.
But the great thing is you identify a need and you relate to your customer, to your client.
Absolutely. That's what it's really all about, is the customer.
Well, certainly in a profession like yours, Lindy, I mean, relating to the customer where you're providing a service to someone who's going through a horrific time in their life and perhaps fighting for their life. I mean, if you can't relate to that person and take satisfaction home from that, I don't know what else you could do.
Well, I mean, that's precisely what keeps you going. And, you know, for people who are listening, you're all thinking, well, gee, you know, that's all great, but it's a tough economy. And the truth is, right, it is a tough economy. So what you do with your life and your passion has to revolve around something much bigger than simply the dollars and cents. Not to say that we don't want our businesses to be successful and to make money, but it's more because we want to continue doing what we're doing and serving the people, the clientele that we're serving, in recognizing their needs. So, you know, it's not easy, but it's easy to stay in it when you love it.
Well, I was just going to say that one of the things that I think I learned in this economy for me was that I really am in the right spot, because it was a difficult fight, as it were. But at the same time, I knew the whole way through that I was in the right place. If the economy was always on a huge upswing, of course everything seems rosy. And it's actually the hard time in some ways that sorted out for myself and a lot of the people that I work with and a lot of the organizations that I work with about what the core mission of what we're doing is and where that core passion lies to help us keep going, pushing through, getting the work done that we want to do and that needs to be done.